So, you've just raced a marathon. Your legs are sore, your muscles are sore, your feet are ruined, you feel like you've been hit by a bus, and quite frankly, it's the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. Far harder than a 5k, 10k half marathon. You're just like, holy shit, what has just happened? Now, if that is you, the chances are you're doing something wrong. Now, of course, the load of doing a marathon is going to be more than any other race. However, it shouldn't be any harder in itself. So, number one, the first thing you need to make sure you're doing, at an absolute minimum, is running 30 to 40 kilometers a week. This is a minimum. You cannot go into a marathon expecting to feel fine afterwards if you're not running at least this. And this is why. Ultimately, your joints, your bones, ligaments, feet, your whole goddamn body is not going to be able to deal with the stress of a marathon if you've not put it through its paces in training. You know, your legs need to be used to the load of hitting that ground every single step for 42.2 kilometers. And the reality is, if you're doing less than that 30 to 40 sort of kilometerage, if that's even a word, in the week, you're going to really struggle to get that body acclimatization to the load. So really make sure you're doing this. Number two, when it comes to the race, moderate your goddamn effort. I see so many people setting off hard. Their heart rate's spiking, they're out of breath, they're panting like a freaking out of breath pug that can't breathe. You know, that type of thing. If this is you, moderate your effort. This is a marathon, not a sprint. This is not a 5 kilometer time trial where you're going balls to the wall from the get-go and your heart rate's spiking to 190 in the first 10 minutes. So what I mean by this is that the first 3/4 of the race should feel easy. You shouldn't be aerobically taxed. Your legs and your feet should feel fine, assuming you've done the right amount of training in the lead up, aka at least 30 to 40 kilometers. Your aerobic system should be okay. You should be feeling generally fine. If you get a quarter in, or halfway in, or even, 2/3 of the way in, and you're starting to sort of hit the wall, so to speak. I mean, most people never hit the wall, but this is another video. People say they've hit the wall, they've not. Anyway, you've done something wrong. Really make sure you've moderated your effort. You cap your heart rate. I've done other videos on this. When you go into the race, cap your heart rate. As in, say, until I reach at least 35 kilometers, my heart rate cannot reach above 170 BPM. Now, if you don't understand what I'm saying here, go and learn what your heart rate zones are. I can't tell you that, only you can. Whack into Google how to find out heart rate zones and work them out. Because if you don't know that, quite frankly, you're probably going to do frigging dog shit in the marathon. The third thing is practice in your kit. Blisters, ulcers, bruised feet. Look, there's a list of everything that people will suffer with, and it's freaking endless. I could cover the entire wall in things that people struggle with, but right up there is feet problems, blisters, rubbing, chafing. If you don't go out for a 20 to 30 kilometer long run, ideally 3 to 4 times before you've actually done your marathon, look, you should be doing more than that, but, at a bare minimum, then how are you going to know whether you're going to have problems or not? You're not. And that's why so many people have problems, because they do the training beforehand. So wear your kit, train in your kit, and you're going to be absolutely fine. And then if in training a problem comes up, aka you start getting rubbing or chafing or a blister, you go, okay, after X amount of distance this starts to hurt. Either you change your kit, you use a different lube, you tie your shoe in a different way, you buy a different shoe, you wear different shorts. Look, God, there's so many things I could touch on here. But try your kit. If you need to change it, change it. If you don't, woohoo, you're going to be fine. You're not going to suffer with that problem. Now, obviously, a marathon is way longer than a 5k. So the actual fatigue your body's going to carry after this is going to be more. But firstly, I'd like to say, it shouldn't be harder during the race than a 5k should be. Your effort should just be moderated. AKA, you're not working as intensely as you would do in the shorter distances. So from that point of view, it should not feel any harder. At all. Afterwards, yes, the recovery might be a little bit longer, but ultimately, if your body's used to training those distances, you're going to be a hell of a lot better off than if you've not. Now, post-marathon, I'd recommend at least a week recovery. This is just going to allow you to sort of reset the system, feel good again, and you can track your heart rate while you're doing this. If you're using a Whoop, if you're just wearing a watch when you work out. What you can do is do maybe a recovery run 7 days after the race and see if your heart rate matches what it was beforehand, and then you can adjust the training you're doing dependent on this. Just make sure your body recovers so you don't get into a big rut and an overtraining sort of type of circle, or whatever you want to freaking call it. If you've got any questions, drop them down below. I'm sure there's going to be people that disagree with this. If you do, just let me know why. I'd be really interested to know. And as always, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers!